Our guest this morning is the founder of Waccamaw Cardiology and the co-chair of this year's Heart Ball. You don't want to bypass this show. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at Red Line Power Sports on Highway 501 in Myrtle Beach. We're focused on the 13th Annual American Heart Ball. And we're visiting with its co-chair, Dr. Andrew Gresko. Good morning, Andy.
Good morning. Good to see you.
You mind if I
again,
call
Greg?
you Andy?
Please do.
Please do. On an early morning, 7 a.m. on a Thursday, and sitting in a power sports dealership, I think we got to drop down to Andy.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds real good.
How about it? Have you checked this place out?
Unbelievable. I mean,
is.
I love all that's here. It's just like a kid's toy shop.
It is.
For adults.
It is. You know, Jonathan Formo, who owns the dealership or the power sports location, was with us on Tuesday, I think, maybe on anyway, earlier this week. Of course, we're sitting in front of his donated item, the item he's donated to the Heart Ball, that Aquatrax. It is amazing. R12.
Unbelievable.
I think he said earlier in the week that with the trailer, it's got a $10,500 donative value.
Wow.
Something that he would. It's incredible. And as you say, to be here early in the morning to walk around, it's like being in a candy store.
Yeah, this is great. This is really nice.
The Heart Bowl is not the first time for you this 13th annual, Andy. You've been involved quite a few years.
Yes, I have. It started back in 1996. Came here as a cardiologist in 95, and actually my wife really was most of it in 96, and then we got together, and then in 97, 98, 99,
Right.
2 years in a row, co-chaired it, and I think at that time was probably just a couple hundred people attending.
No way.
So,
a couple hundred.
Yeah. So now I think we're at 1,000, maybe expected to be even 1,200 this year.
Potentially, that's
So,
right. Kingston Plantations opened the doors for us to get 1,200 in.
Yeah, so it's been amazing growth in just a very short period of time.
In less than a decade, or right at a decade, for the two of y'all having co-chaired in 97 and 98, and to see now in 2006 last year and now in 07
Right.
to expect more than 1,000 folks, that must be wild.
Right. It is, and the involvement over the years, and even Patty co-chairing it again last year.
Oh, yeah, she and Kathleen were incredible.
Unbelievable job.
Golly, the hours they put in and the time, days in and out. And, of course, she's been an amazing help get a lot of stuff, auction items, as well as you in the past. I mean, they're constantly hustling.
Right. Yeah, and in fact, the auction was actually started the first year Patty started, and I think the first year with the auction, they raised about $20,000.
Wow.
And that number now.
That's right. Their goal is 200,000 this
Right.
year. I mean, to get those the value of those donated items,
Right.
It's incredible.
It really is, because the money that's been raised in those 10 years for the Heart Association is tremendous. I mean, we compete and are as good or better than most of the major cities in this state.
Oh, absolutely.
People in this city give so much of not only their time but of their money, and that's
Right.
just really gone to help a lot of people.
For the past few years, and of course this weekend, this upcoming weekend, is the Charleston Gala, and they are nowhere near on track for our event, and just a little more than 3 weeks away. For the last 3 years, we've had the chairman of the board and the president of the board of the Mid-Atlantic affiliate, the 5-state board of the Heart Association, come down for this event. And to hear them talk about in their own cities the events and how they're attended and the experiences of comparing them, Myrtle Beach is, bar none, one of the greatest ones in the Mid-Atlantic affiliate.
Mm-hmm.
It really is incredible. It really is. Andy, you originally from the area?
No, originally from Cleveland, Ohio.
Uh-huh.
Came to Columbia, USC in '79 to undergraduate.
In 79
Yeah.
to do your undergraduate degree. Yeah.
Right. Then went on to medical school later, and I guess that was 85 to 89 at USC.
The medical school there in
Columbia.
In Columbia.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And then from there, then it was Emory for 3 years, and then back to Columbia for cardiology before I came here.
Is that
But
right?
the best part was when I met my wife in pharmacy school, who is from here. So
She's from Horry County.
This
yeah.
is her hometown, and that's a lot why we're here, and it's just been a blessing for me and our family.
Absolutely. And of course, so she was involved in helping y'all make the move from Columbia back to Horry County.
Correct. That was.
What was that like for you, having grown up in Cleveland, Ohio, and to hear about? I mean, what could you even imagine what you pronounced Horry?
Right.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that the people here are so compassionate, and they take you for who you are.
Right.
And I have never felt more welcome than I did when I came here and have been with her family, or just my patients. It is just the type of people that's attracted to this area is amazing. And that's not even talking about the beach and the waterway and the woods and the hunting and the sports and all that.
Right. And, of course, Conway Medical Center, Waccamaw Cardiology. What year did you found Waccamaw Cardiology?
In 2000.
In 2000.
Yeah,
okay.
I came in 95, joined a practice in Myrtle Beach, and we kind of expanded out to Conway.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just came to a point that it was just so much was going on in Conway. It was too much for the group to continue to do, and that's when it was offered to me to start this up. And with my wife being from the area, it was the right thing to do, and God's just blessed us with a lot, and the practice has done well and helped hopefully a lot of people.
God's also blessed you with two amazing children who are keeping you all busy right now, Andy.
Very, very much so. Drew, who's in 8th grade, just finishing up, getting ready to go to high school, and all the things that an 8th grader is going through, and then our daughter, who is in 4th grade, in her activities.
I think you and Patty have talked about her tennis, and she's traveling all over. Recently, a trip to Augusta that extended on and on and on, which means she's doing well and better and better.
Yeah, it makes you proud. I mean, you want to be proud for other things too, being church and school and other things. But the same win in the tournaments also makes you feel pretty good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For a viewer who may need to get out or get off to school right now or to get off to work, the Heart Ball, obviously, February 17th. Is there a good phone number, the Heart Association office? Is that the 626-3939?
Correct.
Great number to call.
And just if there's no one there, leave a message. They'll get right back with you. And if it's related to the Heart Ball, say something. But if you're not going to be in town, please call and give your sponsorship or support it in any way you can. Financially, sponsorships, donations for auctions, or whatever it may be.
Absolutely. And you said just that, making an auction donation. They've got a tremendous live and silent auction, much larger silent auction, and year after year, as you said, it kicked off the year y'all were co-chairing the first year, I guess, and to see the auction grow year after year, to have auction items like this. Or Lance Thompson was with us early in the week. He was instrumental in locking up a club car. Those club car, the really nice golf car donated. These are tremendous items.
Well, and I can tell you with the auction, where it really made the big leap was when he first came into it. I don't know if it was 5 years
5 or 6
ago,
years ago,
that when he gave his first item, I don't know if it was a four-wheeler or what it was at that time, but it just really took the auction to another level.
Absolutely. Yeah. Last year, we're thankful another friend from church, Leo and Peggy Van Veen, donated that 76 Caddy convertible, $25,000 vehicle, which I think brought in $15,000 or $16,000. Ed Prince got a steal on that. And you see items like that oftentimes that you'll never see before. David Markowitz was trying to get his daughter a pair of Britney Spears boots, which ended up going for $800 or $900, but he would pay whatever it cost to get them for his daughter. And of course, you see items like that you just can't buy in stores. You can't buy
and then there's been the consistently donated items from different, like Jordan jewelers who have donated year after year nice pieces of jewelry that have just done very well for the auction.
Our Jordan symbols, jewelers who've donated many years. I know our Robin Jordan's been incredible year after year.
And then, Tommy with his artwork.
Tommy Davis,
every year just coming through with nice pieces of art. So
Absolutely.
Appreciate all that.
And, for a lot of folks, they try to think through cardiovascular disease and stroke. They hear number 1 and number 3 killer.
Yes.
You see this day in and day out. You recognize whether it's an emergency or whether it's something that's been planned well in advance as medicine and other research has been performed. How does that impact? Does it really have a dramatic impact on everyone?
No question. I mean, 40% of the deaths are due to heart disease. It's happening, every minute or so that we're alive, someone in this country is dying of heart disease. But I think on a more personal level, I think if most people would think of, 10 people that they know, I bet they couldn't go without naming 2 to 5 of those 10
Right.
that aren't affected some way with heart disease. And it's just that through the Heart Association and what it's done to help with research, not only research but education,
Right.
and then just its public awareness type of education too, not just that, say, cardiac rehab. You have education there, and you have public awareness, and then you have the CPR that they do. So
Right,
it's
right.
education in multiple ways, including at the schools that they try to get messages out, like heart jump rope and things
Jump
like
rope
that.
for heart,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So there's a lot of things that aren't just pure education that are kind of with patients both during, after, before, that helps, that the Heart Association does and gives. And the money comes from what we're doing. Majority of that money comes from the money raised.
Absolutely. I think $4 million raised in South Carolina last year. $2.4 million ended up back in Charleston, in Columbia, and in the upstate, getting into research and really making it happen.
Correct.
And it has to happen. We've got to have the dollars raised so that can occur.
Right, and the national money is being limited. You're not getting the grants that you used to get from NIH and other things to do this, so really it has to come from the public, supporting the research and supporting the education.
Imagine all our viewers are in Drew's class or about an 8th grade level. If you just break down those simple things, what is a heart attack? What is a heart attack?
A heart attack is when the artery that supplies the blood to the heart muscle, just like your arm muscle gets its blood supply, the heart muscle, which pumps blood to the body, needs its blood supply, so it gets blood vessels that go to the muscle to allow it to squeeze. And if one of those arteries is clogged up to a point that it's a 95 or 99% narrowing, just completely blocked or almost completely blocked, that stops the flow to that part of the muscle. So if the muscle's squeezing, this is your heart squeezing like this, the arteries are wrapped around it, one of those arteries close off, that part of the muscle then cannot function. And that sets up for things to happen. The worst scenario is sudden death, and that's still, the leading causes of
Right,
death
of
is
death.
sudden death. The other thing is the heart attack itself, which can cause permanent damaged muscle and make it where the person develops heart failure, or they may have just years of discomfort when they walk. But when that heart muscle can't function normally, and all of a sudden is one side is not squeezing right, then it sets up for all those bad things to happen.
And you've got how many arteries then going into the heart?
There's 3 major arteries. Again, if you think of the heart about the size of your fist,
Right.
like you're throwing a baseball, wrap 3 fingers around it.
Right.
Those are your 3 major arteries. The 3 major arteries went to the front, right, and back. And that is the part that we're talking about. They come off the aorta, but the blood goes to the heart muscle like that. With that, other things that we worry about can be heart failure that can be due to these arteries or not. If it's not due to the arteries, the muscle itself can just be all of a sudden just very weak. It can
Right.
happen from a virus.
So even if there's great blood flow getting in there,
Correct.
still the heart can be very weak.
Correct, because
Right.
you got the muscle, you have the supply of blood to it from the arteries, you have valves inside that can have problems, that can cause heart failure, and you have an electrical system within it, just like a car has a starter. So if you think of that, it's not just the heart attack, it's not just that blocked artery that we're concerned about. That's what people hear most of.
Right, right.
But there's heart failure due to just a weak muscle, there's heart failure due to valve problems, and there's electrical problems that can cause people to have abnormal rhythms that can be life-threatening,
Wow.
or cause another type of stroke that comes from the heart. So those are all the things that the Heart Association supports, along with just the heart attacks that you hear about.
And as a cardiologist, you're seeing all those aspects that could have a deleterious impact on the heart. You're seeing either the valves are having some issues, or even the heart's just slowing down for a multitude of reasons, or the blood's not flowing through the artery.
Correct. People hear about pacemakers. That's for the electrical system when it's too slow. There's the defibrillators. That's a device that's used to treat people that go into life-threatening rhythms like ventricular tachycardia or ventricular fibrillation. So that's on the electrical side. You hear about valve replacements for the valves. And when heart muscles are weak, there's not as much, but we're starting to get more research and more things that we can do besides just medicines alone.
Right. And what is the one you deal with the most often, Andy? What is the whether it's on our emergency side, or is there something that you see the most often? Is it the arteries getting
Still,
clogged?
it's the arteries. The arteries would be the leading cause of the heart problems. I would tend to say, if I was a number, 50, 60%, maybe as much as 70%, but somewhere in that 50 to 70% range is the arteries that are the problems. And those are the things that if people are educated and aware of the warning signs, and the most classic are the chest tightness or pressure. People will grab their chest and do this type of discomfort, and often they'll say, well, it feels like indigestion, but if they think about it, it may feel like it, but it's not the same as indigestion.
Sure.
They get short of breath. They break out into sweat, pale, nauseated. Often it's chest tightness pressure that radiates to the left shoulder and arm, jaw, neck. It can go to other places too, but that's the classic. It could be even burning or an aching, constant discomfort, but the pressure is the one you hear most commonly.
When we hear someone say, I had a quadruple bypass, or I guess the other ones, what does that mean, a quadruple bypass? Is that when you talked about the three arteries, does it have some impact on that?
It does, and if you think of the heart attack issue or angina, which is the symptoms prior to it, when we get people like that, we can treat them with medicines and do things, but then we do a test called the heart catheterization. That actually is where we inject dye into the three major arteries. And when we inject dye into those three major arteries, then we can tell if there's any major blockage. If it's just one artery, we can usually do a stent or a balloon. The stent is a mesh wire that's wrapped over a balloon that's deflated at the tip of a catheter that's able to get to the artery, get in it, then inflate, open up that stent, and it embeds into that artery to keep it open. For one or two vessels, if that's usually what we do, but if it's all three vessels or the left main, that's when we recommend bypass surgery. Bypass surgery, we're not talking just a procedure. We're now talking where you have to have your sternum cut, be put to sleep, etc. And it's a big ordeal. However, the risk and the outcomes are so good now. It's unbelievable. I can tell you the work that Brian McIntyre and his group does at Grand Strand, their mortality, the people we send from Conway to them is less than 1% mortality. It's amazing. It is truly amazing what work they do. The national average, I think, is about 2.6%, but they exceed that and just do a super job.
That is fantastic. Well, whether you're sending them there, of course, you've got, critical needs at times. You may not be able to get to somebody there. A lot of our viewers are in the PD, I guess, McLeod or Carolina's hospital system, or down to Charleston, probably MUSC, and the place down there would have a great place to turn to.
Correct.
Folks who
Very good outcomes. Bypass surgery has really come along, and for better is the stents have really now become more used and balloons more used so that people don't have to have the surgery as much, so they can have the arteries actually opened without having their sternum cut. But there's a balance. Some situations are better for bypass, some are better for stents or balloon angioplasty.
Brian, just like you, and Glenda, just like Patty, constantly donating time and dollars year after year. I think you shared with us before we started filming this morning, Andy, that even though y'all are a major sponsor and you're co-chairing the event and you and Patty have been doing it year after year. There's just a scheduling conflict. February 17th happens to be a bad weekend for y'all, right after Valentine's. I think it's President's Weekend, President's Day, the following Monday. Why should folks attend the gala, even if they couldn't be there? Why should they still be involved?
Well, the support is going to help family members. It's going to support friends that you know. I mean, everyone out there that, if you think about it, you know people that have had it. So it's going out to help those people. All because I can't be there that day doesn't mean I can't still support it. I mean, I can, my sponsorship still can be used to the same level, and I can, if you look at it from a business relationship, you probably get even as much or more because you can send your referrals, you can send your colleagues, your business associates, your staff who have done all the work for you for the year. So, there's ways of rewarding people, and there's ways to, kind of pat people on the back in different ways for different reasons by doing it on a sponsorship way. Donation, because it just helps people. From the auction items, if you can get an auction item in there, you don't have to be there. I mean, that is a very, very good way that you can help the Heart Association raise money.
And to get it in front of 1,000 people. I mean, a real opportunity to build the name of your business, if you're a startup business or if you're a large one like Redline Power Sports. Still a tremendous way to get that auction item in front of 1,000 folks, many of which could easily be walking to your store the next week or even a year later to buy something.
And I've had people come up to me and say, there's this business person out there that I'd like to be like, and I see they go to the Heart Ball, and I want I want to go to the Heart Ball. I want to so it's a good way to get your name in out there, mingle with people that you may see as business associates and other things like that too.
Absolutely. We're so thankful Waccamaw Cardiology stepping up $3,750 to have a table of 12 there, be able to get the word out. And clearly Conway Medical Center, again, stepping up for a gold sponsorship of $5,500, but their sponsor levels as basic as $1,250. Or our guest tomorrow, Larry Amick, who co-founded Understanding Corporation, who's given us $22,500. A triangle-based technology company. For them, you wonder why they're interested in the Myrtle Beach area. I think they're interested in fighting heart disease and stroke. These are gentlemen in their 60s. They recognize it impacts not only them, but even potentially their children, if not their parents or them, their children or others. Everyone's impacted, and stroke's another key. When we talk about the number one killer, we just got a couple of minutes. What is a stroke, Andy? How many folks are impacted by that?
A stroke, there's two types of stroke. One is where the artery is blocked, similar to like the heart attack. Another is where the artery actually ruptures or gets a leak in it. And those arteries are within the brain. The clots are often either caused from a plaque coming off the carotid artery, that is the artery that feeds your brain, one on each side, or it can be from a clot coming from your heart with people that have abnormal rhythms called atrial fibrillation. So there's a couple causes for that type of stroke. The other type of stroke, it can be small ruptures within the brain. Hypertension that's not under control can lead towards that. And some people are just born with weaker arteries that may cause that to happen. But that then not affects the muscle, but it affects the brain tissue. Some of it will come back. Some people will have complete resolution, but other people are left inability to walk or inability to speak or things like that.
And we got less than a minute, so we probably don't have time to talk much about your service for the last 4 or 5 years on the Governor's Council on Physical Fitness, nor about the South Carolina Health and Fitness Act. But it sets the stage for us to get you back another time to talk about those down the road. It's been tremendous. You were appointed by the governor 4 or 5 years ago to get on that group to help him out to get the state in better shape.
Correct. It's really been an eye-opener for me with childhood obesity, which the Heart Association really pushed last year for education and financial support, and how now we've been able to get out to the schools, get the vending machines out, get better healthy choices, get more physical fitness in their program on a weekly basis. That's mandated now by the state. So I think we're going in the right direction with all that.
Speaking of that, we're heading in the right direction. We'll get you back another time. Thank you, Dr. Andrew Gresko.
All right. Good to see you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Andy Gresko coming up next. You heard Andy talking about some of those heart attack and stroke symptoms. Every second counts. Every second counts. It's groups like the American Heart Association making a difference every day, and every second counts. This time right now, you get up, go make a phone call, 843-626-3939. Tell them you want to volunteer. You want to buy a ticket. You want to get a sponsorship. You heard Andy talking about not being there on February 17th. He's one of a handful of folks in town who won't be there because 1,000 folks will be, and you can be a part of that. It's a tremendous evening, February 17th, Kingston Plantation. Think about that first time when CPR came out, or the first pacemaker. Breathtaking, just breakthroughs, incredible opportunities, and it's thanks to the American Heart Association. You can be a part of that. You have no idea what the next the researcher anywhere, whether it's in South Carolina, North Carolina, somewhere worldwide, thanks to the dollars provided at events like this year's Heart Ball, you can make a difference. Give them a call, 843-626-3939.